Hey, good morning, Tribute Band Central. We have a interview today with two of my very good friends from the Reflex. That is the Duran Duran tribute. Doug Easterly, who is on vocals, and Eric Vassy on bass. Thanks for joining me this morning, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Well,
you.
it's
Always good to hang out with you.
I appreciate it, and to get two rock stars up at 8:30 is a little bit tough. So I do appreciate that very, very much. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the tribute and Duran Duran. I've been able to hear the show a couple of times, and the song that I have just fell in love with, and I don't think I really knew it very well before I saw you guys, was "Save a Prayer." And I wanted to get your feedback on that song, how you guys feel about it, how it goes when you're playing it, that kind of thing. But I added it to my playlist, and I'm here. I'm listening to it every couple of days. So fill me in.
Eric, you want to start?
Yeah, so I think one of the things I have found interesting about putting the tribute band together is everybody knows all the big hits and the high energy stuff like Rio and Hungry Like the Wolf and View to a Kill, but the songs that people seem to ask for and the songs that you can see people in the crowd having an emotional connection to seem to be the slower songs like Ordinary World and like Save a Prayer. And I think because of the lyrics of that song when it came out, I think there's an emotional connection to people our age as you're going through your teenage years or your early 20s and that song comes out. It's an emotional touch point for a lot of people,
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the reasons that that song endures for Duran Duran so well, and it's so popular when we do it, and it ends up being a massive sing along when we get to the end of the chorus.
it is, and there's power in the harmonies themselves with the three of us singing together is emotional in itself to me. Like when harmonies are just that rich and poetic with the lyrics and everything, and it's just a powerful song. I mean, it's just got so many great iconic build up parts, and it's just people can definitely attach themselves to that song. I know I do. It's a really neat point of the show because we've gone through at that point we've gone through some pop and rock and dance stuff, and it just kind of is a nice little break, but like a really coming together of the whole crowd, and then we kick back into the rest of the show. So that's a great pick for a song that touches you like that. So
Well, it certainly has, and it was one that until I had seen it on your show, I didn't think that much about, but it has become a personal favorite. So. I've had the pleasure of interviewing you guys several times, and I really appreciate all your support for the channel. I wanted to take the interview in a little bit of a different direction today. I wanted to talk a little bit about behind the scenes for a tribute band. So, um, it's not like a show where there's a ton of roadies and things like that. So tell me about like load in. You guys kind of have to do the hard work before the fun show becomes. Am I on track?
yeah, that's definitely the work of what we do. um, and it's an early start. I mean, what you guys see is from 7:30 to 9:30, and we get there at 2, and we're off at 11. So it's a 9-hour day for us. But it's that's just the work of it. That's the part of the gig. You have to get in and make sure everything's right and everything's sounding good and looking good and working good. Most importantly, got to make sure everything's firing correctly and, and not going to let you down. So, especially with our show, we have a very big production show. So there's a lot.
Correct. You have a lot of AV stuff, so you have to check that. How long does sound check typically take for you guys?
I don't like sound check is usually not that lengthy, and I think it's because our setup is so self-contained.
Mhm.
It does take a long time to get set up, especially since depending on the venue, we are bringing our own TVs, we're getting them all connected into our system. So there's a little bit of extra stuff that has to happen that some other bands may not have to deal with. So setting up takes quite a while. Once everything is up and running, we've been doing this so long. We know the things we need to hit. Maybe we'll and we choose things that are most beneficial to the sound crew and the light crew so they can sort of get a taste of what it's going to be like. And then if we have particular things we want to go over, we'll hit those really quick. But the sound check itself is usually pretty fast just because we're such a well-oiled machine when it comes down to the technical aspect of it, and that came from the year plus of rehearsal and tech preparation we did before we ever even played our first show.
Yeah.
Wow. Incredible. Incredible. Do you guys travel together to these farther out shows? I know you're going to Myrtle Beach. We'll talk a little bit about that. Do you guys all ride together or do you just meet up at venues even when it's farther away?
Um, it kind of varies. Sometimes we'll rent something if it's it just depends on the logistics, how far we're going. If anything, we try to, if we are kind of taking our own vehicles, we'll take a trailer for drums and then we'll have maybe one other vehicle. Like I have a van that I use for a lot of it. So we try to take no more than two vehicles. You don't want to have six vehicles on the road with six chances of something to go wrong and six tanks of gas to keep full. And, which is, that's what's great about our, people that come out and buy our t-shirts because that really helps us to get around, goes right into our gas tanks and gets us into their city so we can play for them. So we really
Absolutely.
like that about
And
our band.
yeah, and for my subscribers down in the comments, I will put a link to the webpage which has your merchandise, and you've got some really really cool stuff,
Yeah.
and it's fun at shows to see both people with the old Duran Duran t-shirts and people
Hmm.
with your t-shirts for the
Hmm.
Reflex. So very very cool. Let's talk a little bit about the green room. What happens back there? Is there any particular? You guys aren't like prima donnas. You got to have like certain kind of lollipops or anything funky like that, right?
We
No, we're pretty boring when it comes to that. We're not gonna, you know, well, plus a lot of that comes off the top of our pay anyway, so we don't want to spend a whole lot of money on that stuff. But
Yeah. Our
but
rider has the standard stuff on it, water, caffeine, towels. That's about it. Some of the venues do provide food depending on which venue it is, so we'll always take advantage of that. But generally, our green room is pretty low key, and there's as we were talking about before, there's so much involved in getting the show set up and getting everything ready that it generally tends to be just a time to sort of relax and focus and get your energy shifted from the work of putting up and setting up the show to the work of putting on the performance, which is a completely different kind of energy that you need for that. So
yeah,
that's typically what our green room is like.
Cool,
absolutely.
cool. Any any rituals that the band does every time before you guys go out, or is it just you get the word, hey, time to hit the stage and off you go?
A lot of vocal training for me. I just make sure I have my gotta have my pipes warmed up for 2 hours of Simon. That's for sure. And I think we all just kind of have our own little. I mean, we do a little get together right before we go on stage, and do a shout out to Flex. But we kind of just do our own thing. I think Eric would probably agree with me. We both kind of we all have our own little private space before shows because I think everybody, you know, connects and grounds themselves a little differently, maybe. But whatever it takes to do the show we need to do.
Cool, cool. How
Yeah.
many how many bases do you have, Eric? And do you bring more than one? I mean, tell me a little bit about that background.
My primary base for this show is actually custom made by a luthier in South Carolina. They're called Felton Guitars, and I went to his shop and I told him I wanted a bass similar to what John Taylor played, but lightweight and really flexible on sound. And we custom built that. I picked the wood, we picked the hardware. And so that's my main bass, and it goes with me to every show. But I also bring a backup bass. I have a Hofner Steinberger copy that you almost never see. It's tiny. It's one of the old 80s headless basses, and it just stays in a bag close by in case something goes wrong. But that main bass will always be the one in my hands. And then I have lots of others, but that is my bass for the Reflex. It was custom built for that purpose, to replicate as close as possible the look and sound of John Taylor's old Aria basses.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, let's change gears a little bit. So, as I have watched this year, the Reflex has really, for lack of a better term, kind of exploded. And I think moving from more of just an Atlanta area band to definitely a regional band.
Mhm.
And the big show that I'm excited about is coming up again at House of Blues. And that's your second House of Blues show. You've played down in Orlando, you're going to be in Myrtle Beach. And House of Blues, of course, is nationwide. So tell me a little bit about House of Blues, and I don't know if there's any hints or anything you can share. Are you going to be going out to some of the other farther away, or what's it like? Because to me, it's almost that's kind of like big time for tribute bands.
It is. It's I've been fortunate enough to play. We're hoping New Orleans will be next. That's what I'm shooting for. But
I'll road trip down to that one.
some of the House of Blues, they're beautiful venues, by the way. They're just, if you haven't been, they're works of art. The whole buildings are painted by local artists, and it's just like it's nothing but music and food and drinks and art, and it's just a really fun atmosphere. All of them. Orlando went really well for us, and we're super excited about Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach is actually the largest one.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
I think it's close to 3,000 people it holds. It's like 2,800 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But and it's probably the most well known of them, I would think. But there's one in Dallas. There's one in trying to think where the locations are. But yeah, they're great little milestones for tribute bands for sure. And it's just neat that they're allowing some of the higher end tributes to get exposure like that in these different towns. So and I love them. They're big stages. They're well. I mean, the sound is awesome. The crew is always easy to work with.
It's interesting, Harlan. You were asking about the, load in and load out. House of Blues is one of those places that they treat all of the artists the same. So when you pull up the House of Blues, the crew comes out and they help with load in and load out and getting everything set up. So
Nice.
it's a great experience to roll into a place like that and have the
Mhm.
crew almost becomes part of the band instantly, because they're grabbing your gear and helping you get everything in and asking you where things need to be and getting the stage set for whatever configuration we decide to use that night, depending on the side of the stage. So yeah, House of Blues is definitely a top-notch place to be.
And
Excellent. Excellent.
they come up and they take orders for food and bring us drinks, and it's the kind of accommodations that musicians want, and a lot of them deserve. So it's great to do.
Outstanding. Well, I hope that it continues, and I look forward to some road trips. And certainly, if you get to New Orleans, I will make it down there. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm going to give you the opportunity to plug. You've got I think on your website, look like about 3 shows this fall going on. So fill us in for my subscribers. Everything will be down in the links so you can check those out. Be sure to get tickets because they sell out quick. These guys are really popular.
Yeah, it's well, we have Myrtle Beach is October 17th. Correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah,
Nope,
yeah.
it
And
is.
the 18th is something a little special I put together with a friend of mine in downtown Canton. And we put together a ladies of the 80s night. So we're going to do like a ladies night thing that's going to be catered on site with food and drink companies sponsoring and that kind of thing. So we're going to be rolling in hot from Myrtle Beach to Canton, Georgia, for this little festival show in downtown Canton, and that'll be the next day, October 18th. And then we have two more dates in December, correct?
Yeah, we're going to be at a great venue in Charlotte called Amos's. We've played there several times. It's a fantastic venue. We're going to be doing that show on December 6th, and our friends She's So Unusual, which is a Cyndi Lauper tribute. They're going to be opening up the show for us for that. So that's going to be an absolute blast of 80s goodness.
Yeah.
And then the very next weekend, back home at Mad Life Stage and Studio on the 13th, and that's sort of going to wrap the year for us, and we'll spend the rest of the month planning next steps and booking next venues and pushing on to bigger and better things in 2026.
Yeah, I know. Harlan, you mentioned we really have picked up momentum. It's been awesome. When I think we did 23 shows this year, something like that.
Yeah,
And I
Excellent.
guarantee we're going to do a lot more than that next year. So we're psyched. Definitely.
Well, I'm excited to have gotten in kind of at the ground floor here and got to hear you several times. I look forward to hearing you many more. For my subscribers, I plan to be at the Canton show, so I will be putting some video up and that kind of stuff. And certainly in 2026, I will always be there to talk about the shows and make it out as to any of them that I can. So that is great. I want to thank both of you for joining on the channel this morning and give
Thank
you an
you.
opportunity. Anything else you guys want to add before we close?
Harlan, yeah, I just want to say, like, the website, the Tribute Band Central, I think is such a fantastic idea, and I think it's really great. And here's why: because a lot of these artists are for these tribute bands, they're not around anymore. So it's not the case with Duran Duran, but with so many of the other acts that are doing tributes, either the acts aren't around at all, or they just don't tour anymore. So it's a great opportunity for people to sort of relive that music and feel that nostalgia from the past, and the fact that you're help driving the success of bands like us and the other bands that we share the road with. That I think is fantastic, and we really appreciate the work and the effort that you and your team put into it as well.
Well, thank
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's very kind. I I didn't realize how much of a demand there was. I'm closing in on 250,000 views, which
Wow.
is just I can hardly say it without I yeah, it's just shocking.
That's
And
awesome.
let's face it, the audience doesn't tune in to see Harlan. They tune in to see you guys. So thank you so much. And I love the music of that period. And I love all music. I never if somebody says let's go hear something, I go listen. But specifically, I graduated high school in '85. You know, that's what you remember from your youth. And it just brings back those memories. And I thank you guys for that. And stay safe out on the road. You know, traveling is always dangerous these days. So take care.
Yes.
And all my
Appreciate that.
subscribers, be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment. If you have any questions for me, for Eric, or for Doug, just put them in the comments, and I'll get those messages over to them. So thanks, guys.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Harlan.
Thank you, Harlan.
Take
Have a
care.
great day, bud.
All right.